Hello everyone, this is Critic giving you a shoutcast between Top versus Sjow here on finally Top versus Sjow here on Lost Temple. We have OGS Top spawning as the red Terran player. Meanwhile, we have Sjow spawning as the blue Terran player. So I wanted to cast this game just because it is two Terran players. Sjow, a very well-known 3100, I believe 3200 Terran player on the European servers. Meanwhile, OGS Top, part of clan OGS, as you may have read earlier, OGS MC was the winner of GSL 3. So I'm pretty sure that OGS Top did do some training with him. I believe MC also did a lot of training with Nesty as well. So that's really what got him through the tournament. And I wanted to see how the Korean styles versus the European styles of games differ and their just potential strategies. So I'm going to throw up the production tab now. And so far, nothing too out of the ordinary. Both players building their supply depots relatively close to their command centers. OGS building it right here. Meanwhile, you can see that Sjow built it right here. And I believe they're trying to make it so that the pathing on that the pathing on those SCVs are actually a little bit shorter, so they're able to harvest even more gas. So we'll see whether or not the refinery gets placed down here, and then the refinery gets placed down here. Both sides also getting barracks. You can see the refinery being placed down here, and then OGS building the refinery on the backside. So with that refinery on the backside, it will take a little bit more effort for Sjow to scout out and be able to see that refinery there as an SCV already moves out from top. Top scouting in the counterclockwise direction. It will take quite some time for him to be able to scout that out as it moves across the map. Meanwhile, back over here, we do see one barracks currently in play or nearing completion, and both sides barracks have been completed and now upgrading to an orbital command. Top is a little bit behind, but not too far behind, but that does make sense as one SCV did stop mining. So by stopping his mining, he was not able to collect nearly as many minerals. Now, Sjow is known for not really doing any scouting. He only scouts out with his first Hellion or his first Banshee. I believe Sjow typically likes to do the 1v1 build, and as I say that, he moves out with the Marine, gonna go ahead and activate this Zelnaga Watchtower, and should be able to come across this one SCV in just a second. So now, gonna head straight into here, gonna come across this SCV now, try to start firing at it, dealing some damage. Is he gonna give chase? Yes, he is gonna give chase. There is a second Marine, however, Sjow is watching that backside, and he's not moving it over here, so that one SCV will be able to get up that ramp and get a lot of information. In comes the Marine, now trying to deal some damage. The SCV backing around the corner, down to 3 hit points, and Sjow not keeping track of his second Marine, and now this OGS is top. The SCV from OGS Top will be able to get plenty of sight. Now finally splitting up his Marines, trying to chase down that one SCV, and down it goes. We do see that there is double refineries in play, and the factory is already completed by Sjow right now, and we should be seeing perhaps a starport soon, as there are now 3 Marines over here. So I guess the Marines are expecting a Reaper rush. So that's one of the things that you can do. You can try to set up some Marines over here. Those Marines that way will be able to start shooting at that Reaper before the Reaper gets up onto that high ground. One Marine over here at the Zelnaga Watchtower watching very carefully, as we are now getting the Hellions and the Infernal Pre-Igniter. So interesting. And now we are also getting a Starport. So Starport, Hellion, Infernal Pre-Igniter. Are we going to get an additional tech lab? It may be a drop, as that Starport is now coming in on both sides. The Infernal Pre-Igniter still being researched. Does take quite amount of time, 110 game seconds. And now, just to goes to show you, Sjow still has no idea where Top is. I did talk to Sjow about this, asking him whether or not he would change his gameplay, because it's pretty easy for a player to figure out what exactly his strategy is. Very nicely done and microed by Sjow. Sjow making sure to limit the amount of damage that the Marine is able to do, and able to take down that one Marine and not lose even half of his hit points on that Hellion. That Marine, if it had tried to chase after that Hellion, it would have dealt a lot of damage. And now we see a Raven coming in. So a Raven coming in, as I believe OGS is expecting Banshees, but it is not going to be Banshees. It most likely will end up being a medevac dropship with Hellions and Marines, and that is going to be a lot of damage to be dealt as another Hellion now makes its way out. So Hellions on the front door, and those Marines are just gathered around in a very nice line, making sure that they do not take that much splash damage. So instead, it is going to be an elevator drop of Hellions straight into the base on the backside. We do see a Raven nearing completion, and now in comes this drop. There is one siege tank back over here as those Marines are now trying to come in. Hellions getting a lot of damage quickly onto some of those SCVs, now trying to go after more and more of those units as an auto turret now comes in, and very nicely done. In comes the pickup. And now one of those Hellions was taken down. Marines trying to shoot down that medevac. The medevac now down to 7 hit points and shot out of the sky. So wow, nicely done by Top. Top microing that very, very well. And I believe the losses have now been equalized. Taking a look at the unit count, 21 harvesters, however, for Top. Meanwhile, 28 harvesters for Sjow. So Sjow does have a little bit of an economic lead, as a new fresh Hellion will be making its way straight into the base. So along that backside will be just beyond the sight range of that over there. He may have caught a quick glimpse of it, but now in comes a Viking and a Raven. So Viking Raven now coming in, but the Hellion is already in play, and now getting 2 quick kills, going to jump back in, and now needs to get the heck out of there. But there is already a Viking coming in, so the Viking now trying to shoot down that medevac. The Hellion getting that one last kill there. And now the medevac already down to 20 hit points, and down it goes. So once again, OGS Top patrolling with this Raven and this Banshee, and now in comes the Raven. The Raven could have dropped an auto turret in order to gain a little bit of a DPS advantage, and now dropping that auto turret should be repairing that one Viking, as Vikings are very, very expensive units. You now see a reactor swap coming in onto the starport, so we'll be able to double train Vikings. So this may become your standard Viking siege tank battle that a lot of Terran players really don't like. We now, however, see Sjow throwing down 2 additional barracks. So with 2 extra barracks, he is going to be going into a drop style of play with a lot of Marines. There is also a reactor on the starport, so he will also be able to double train up Vikings as well. The command center is nearing completion here, as the command center here is now being upgraded to an orbital command. SCVs should be transferred. Not too many SCVs though coming in for OGS Top. So Top still behind economically speaking, as we're going for another swap. So interesting, now going for another swap. Once he had 4 Vikings in the air, deciding to swap it back. We now see the orbital command will be coming into position in just a moment, and now both sides setting up those expansions at nearly the same exact time. However, Sjow does have a little bit of an economic advantage just because that orbital command was researched first. Now in comes another fleet of Vikings and Ravens. Marines now trying to come in, and oh, the timing was absolutely perfect for Sjow. Sjow was able to save his medevacs. If those medevacs had appeared just as those Vikings showed up, I believe those Vikings would have been able to shoot, these 4 Vikings would have been able to 2-shot many of those medevacs as they tried to pull away. Marines and medevacs once again pulling out. We see the stim pack now being researched. No combat shield just quite yet. Siege tag obviously researched as well, as these units are now on the move. So it is going to be a Marine tank battle with some Viking support. Meanwhile, back over here we get some siege tanks up on that high ground, so OGS will be able to hold this location very easily. But you can see now Sjow trying to take down these destructible rocks will be able to do so, as another command center should be built in just a moment and lifted off into that location. So not too much happening inside the main bases, but now we have an army of Vikings with 1 Raven in the air, and those Vikings may come into ground mode. If they go into ground mode, they may be able to deal some damage. No, siege tank quickly getting into siege mode there and then stopping. So we now see this fleet just wandering back and forth. So OGS is expecting a drop, but I do not see any real drops coming into play so far. The medevacs just simply healing units as opposed to trying to transport those units. We now see the combat shield being researched and a lot being in production coming in from Sjow. Sjow having a very, very large production tab. Meanwhile, Top, not too much. Currently supply locked most likely. Yeah, sitting at 78 over 78, and that is going to be a problem. He's currently building 3 supply depots, and he has a lot of stuff already queued up. So once those supply depots are done, he still may become supply locked. There we go, already sitting at 88 over 94 from 76, and now building some additional supply depots once again, sitting at 93 over 94. So he's now macroing up very, very quickly, getting up into 94, 95 over 102. You got to remember, 20 seconds ago, he was sitting at 76 over 76. So really macroing it up now, trying to build a stronger army. And now you can see the starport should be double training medevacs once again as all those supply depots are being lowered, and now the Vikings are in the air. Both sides macroing up a very decent sized army, but Sjow has a little bit of that advantage still. And now taking a look at the income tab, we'll even be able to push that advantage even further, as now we have a lot of SCVs mining out of this location here. So at diminishing returns already, and I normally only like to have no more than 15 SCVs between these two locations, because sometimes the SCVs travel between here, and that really slows down that mining time. Back over here, missile turrets finally being laid down. You can see Sjow getting the 2,000 mineral advantage over the 1,200 of OGS top. As Marines are now down over here, we do have the combat shield now being researched, and now the level 1 weapons upgrade nearing completion. Sjow moving out with this one medevac. Oh, he is going to be quickly revealed, and that is going to be a problem as we now have a sensor tower coming online from top. So will top try to move out with this medevac? I'm not 100% sure anymore. We do see that there is that medevac over here, and that medevac is going to run straight into the line of sight of that Viking. And now a missile turret also being laid down. So it will depend on the patrolling of that Viking. Does the Viking see the medevac? Yes, does see the medevac, but this is going to barely squeeze by and get into here in just a second. There we go. Needs to start dropping those Marines. Oh, that medevac is going to have a problem there. No, those Marines are dropping down, and down goes that one medevac there. Marines now trying to use those stim packs, trying to pull back and forth. Does have the level 1 combat upgrade, so dealing some damage towards those SCVs as that one Marine now gets taken down. The back over here, siege tanks on the low ground starting to blast up onto the high ground, and that is a fair amount of siege tanks. Wow, 8 siege tanks able to destroy there, but now we have Marines simply coming in from the center. Siege tanks now pulling back. Siege tanks now trying to siege up once again, quickly getting out of combat range there. As those Vikings are in the air, those Vikings are simply just too numerous right now. And now, very nicely done by Sjow. Sjow just trying to walk around this main army here. Doesn't want to come back into here. And now we'll be able to simply come into this position. There are some siege tanks on that low ground. Now in a little bit of a pincer attack. Both sides fighting back and forth. And top may be able to get a nice squeeze in on Sjow. Sjow now coming in. Marines trying to fight back against multiple SCVs. And I believe Show's attack will be neutralized. Sjow losing heavily here, as there are a lot of siege tanks out of siege mode. Able to deal a lot of damage. But some SCVs were lost by top. Top now down to 40 SCVs, and now his economy is hurting even further. Taking a look at the losses of Sjow is about 2,500 more, but if you take a look at the income tab once again, you can see that Sjow, just by staying in this game for another minute or so, will be able to neutralize or equalize how much his advantage is going to be. And now you see siege tanks trying to blast away over here, trying to take down this expansion, or take down these destructible rocks at the expansion. OGS will be able to land, perhaps build a planetary fortress of his own, and now we are getting the Terran level 1 vehicle upgrades in addition to more Marauders and medevacs. So top getting a little bit lucky, taking down a couple of those medevacs as they were being rallied straight through the army of OGS top. Sjow now has a decent army. Taking a look at the unit combinations, that one Raven has been dropping point defense drones, and it really shut down many of the Marauders that Sjow had. So that was a very significant hit, as Marauders are a decent counter to siege tanks out of siege mode. And now both sides getting ready back and forth, and now you see a lot of these siege tanks perhaps going to start playing hopscotch and try to move forward. There is one SCV not on auto repair. Some of those siege tanks did take one siege tank blast or more from these siege tanks over here, and now this is going to be an east versus west battle. You can see the missile turrets are being laid down by both sides, making sure that drops are near impossible, as Sjow is now taking up another expansion here at the 6 o'clock location. One Marine was able to sneak its way over here, but now in comes a drop. There are going to be 2 siege tanks, Vikings, and a Raven coming in over here, and now the Vikings are able to come in and now drop an auto turret, take down this one Marine, and now trying to just come around this side. This is going to become very, very bad, as some SCVs now being transferred over. The scanner sweep is already coming in, and now the planetary fortress is going to be very difficult, as he's going to get cliffed. The Terran Sjow or top is going to cliff into this location here and start blasting at many of these SCVs. You can already see the siege tanks should be going into siege mode in just a moment. Not quite sure what OGS top is worried about here, as we now have a drop coming in. So drop now coming into this position. Marines and Marauders now trying to come in, trying to finish off many of these units. Siege tanks now coming back over here. So both sides fighting back and forth. A lot of these siege tanks just blasting away at multiple SCVs. and now Sjow needs to start dealing some damage, otherwise he is going to be in a little bit of trouble as some SCVs are now being transferred into this location here. So now a great job by Top clipping this location here, and also able to start dealing damage towards the planetary fortress. The planetary fortress is being repaired. It does have 5 armor, but it only but the base damage on the Crucio shock cannon is 50, so from 50 down to 45 damage. Now back over here we see the Marines and Marauders trying to once again re-engage into this location. Will be able to deal a lot of damage to the center, and now simply try to move up. There are some siege tanks over here on that high ground, and OGS Top with so many siege tanks, that is going to be very difficult for Sjow to try to clean up. And now both sides scanner sweeping, trying to clean up many of those siege tanks. Down it goes. A medevac now coming in over here, and now Marines and Marauders now simply coming in. OGS does not have a planetary fortress here, as now Marines are coming in over here. There is a planetary fortress here, however, and that will be able to stop any of these Marines from getting that much damage dealt. Back over here, an army of 3 siege tanks doing a great job blasting away at this one planetary fortress. Planetary fortress constantly getting repaired by multiple SCVs trying to stay within this game. Are these Marines going to come in and start dealing damage over here? They should be able to, as Marines are going to be able to finish off that Marauder there, and now in come some of those Marines. The Marines were on hold position, and down it goes. Now we see one medevac maybe trying to come into this location here, trying to take down this command center, as there are now 2 medevacs here, and now some siege tanks in the center. Vikings now in the air shooting down the medevac. That is going to be a problem, as the Vikings do give air superiority, as now this planetary fortress is still just sitting here at this time. The income advantage is no longer nearly as high, but you can see OGS Top is nearly mining out of this location, as well as they're also beyond saturation at these 2 locations. If Sjow is able to hold this expansion, he should be able to carry this into the late game and win the war of attrition. Production wise, level 2 weapons upgrade, Marauders, siege tanks, medevac, Marines still being trained up. OGS does have a little bit of a smaller army at this time, as well as this planetary fortress is continuing to be repaired. So there are only mining off of 2 mineral patches right now. This planetary fortress still just sitting here, absorbing many of the attacks. Marauders and Marines trying to fight down these siege tanks over here. Vikings able to clean up the center location here, but the Marauders and Marines were able to finish off this command center. In comes another army from Sjow. Sjow coming in and able to catch some of those siege tanks, as they are not quite yet in siege mode, as those Marauders and Marines going to be able to clean up many of this location here. And I believe OGS Top is now starting to lose this battle, as this command center is in the air. It may get shot down. If it gets shot down, that will pretty much be GG, as the command center is already being burnt down. And now once again lifting off, SCVs being pulled back. Siege tanks are getting some splash damage here, but it's not going to be enough. Siege tanks on the low ground once again trying to come back in, and now we see siege tanks coming in over here trying to blast away at this one command center, planetary fortress. But OGS Top says GG. So Top losing to Sjow here on Lost Temple. Sjow opening up with his standard no scout. So without scouting, he pretty much played blind for about the first 5 minutes and was still able to take the win against OGS Top. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Top and Sjow here on Lost Temple.